Switching to the game in Dallas, Clemson against Notre Dame, just a couple interesting nuggets here before we get to the phone lines. This came from Clemson's SID, Brian Hennessy, and he tweeted out that teams entering the college football playoff undefeated since its inception. In 2014, you had one undefeated team, FSU. 2015, you had one undefeated team, that was Clemson. 2016, one undefeated team, Bama. Last year, 0 teams were undefeated entering the playoff. This year, you've got 3. You've got Bama, Clemson, and Notre Dame. So that means the Clemson-Notre Dame matchup will be the first undefeated game in the college football playoff.
Wow.
Big deal?
I think so. I think, in years past, we would have almost guaranteed that all these teams would have lost. But I think right now you're seeing that it's extremely manageable to go undefeated. I mean, all 3 of these teams, really outside of maybe a couple games here and there was no threat of them losing.
And we talked about the fact before we came on air that 4 of the top 5 teams right now were in the playoff last year. If Georgia beats Alabama in the SEC championship game, you've got the same teams.
Yeah, and 12 out of the last 20 college football playoff teams that have gotten in have either been Alabama, Clemson, or Oklahoma. So lots of consistency here we've seen. And Notre Dame was the only, wild card here.
Yeah.
If Notre Dame wouldn't have been in, you would have probably seen Georgia sneak in there.
Well, we'll talk about Notre Dame much later in the show, but now we do want to get Paul, who is on with us. How you doing this evening, Paul?
Yeah, doing pretty good, man. How are you?
Hanging in there.
All 4 guys right now talking are all from Cope freshman year. I love it.
That's a throwback, freshman year dorm.
Yeah, totally. I guess I don't want to, obviously people are going to be calling and talking about the selection, obviously them making the right or wrong decision. But I kind of want to jump right into hearing y'all's thoughts about the Bama-Oklahoma game, just because obviously that 4th spot was, very controversial, and I think they made the best decision by going with Oklahoma. But as far as that game goes, and with Oklahoma's defense being suspect, as most of the defenses in the Big 12 are, do you think that one, is that game going to be super high scoring, and if so, does Bama's secondary have the experience to deal with the kind of talent that Kyler Murray has, and on the other side of that, does Oklahoma's defense, have the experience to deal with the running game that Alabama brings to the table?
The over/under right now is 79. I would predict both teams to smash that. I think this game is going to be in the 40s. I mean, we saw last year with the Georgia-Oklahoma game, 54-48. I don't think anyone saw that coming, and that was a top 5 defense Georgia
And you
had.
combine the average points per game of these two offenses, you're at 97.4. All year long. They've scored 50 or more points in 15 different games. Alabama with 8, Oklahoma with 7. I mean, these are the 2 highest scoring teams in the country. But you've got Tagovailoa, who may or may not be 100%.
May not be 100%, and an Oklahoma defense that's getting better. The last 3 or 4 games, they've dropped their points per game allowed significantly. So they're playing at a higher level now than they did midway through the season.
Okay, so to go back to what Jay just said about Tago. So in the case that that Oklahoma's defensive line is able to penetrate in the same way that Georgia did this past weekend, and is it Tago or Tago?
It's Tagovailoa.
I think it's Tagovailoa.
Oh, is it Tagovailoa?
There's a silent N that sneaks in there. I've always as if it was harder to already understand as it is. He just has to change it up on us.
His name's a dartboard, and every single announcer misses it like drastically.
That's why they just safely just say Tua, and you immediately know who they're talking about.
Yeah, Tua. There we go. We'll stick with that. But so let's say Oklahoma's defensive line's able to get penetration. If they knock him out of the game, assuming that he starts, does Jalen Hurts have what it takes to win that game? Do you guys think so or not?
He had what it takes to, I wouldn't say lead a comeback against Georgia, but he closed out the game. I think that's one of the most important things to take away from the SEC championship game, besides the fact that, in my opinion, Georgia kind of threw that one away, is that Alabama and Jalen Hurts specifically, he sat out all year. He waited his turn. All of a sudden, his team needed him in a crucial moment, and he came in and he stepped in and he was able to perform, exceed expectations, and lead his team to victory. So, honestly, I don't expect Tua to stay 100% this entire game. In fact, to be completely honest with you, it would not surprise me if Saban threw a little bit of dual quarterback play in there, knowing potentially that there could be a matchup later on against a caliber defense like Clemson or Notre Dame. So he may want to rest Tua a little bit if he gets dinged early, and he may rely on Jalen Hurts the entire second half. We just don't know. But I think Bradley Hurts can handle it.
And I'm going to play devil's advocate here. I think Georgia lost the game more than Jalen Hurts won the game because pretty much everything went wrong for Georgia in that game for Jalen to come back and win that game. I think if you put Kyler Murray and the Oklahoma offense in place of what Jake Fromm was doing in that fourth quarter, I think Oklahoma runs away with that game. And I think Georgia should have won that game probably 95% of that time. It just happened that, Kirby Smart decided to be an idiot in the last 5 minutes.
Look, Paul, Alabama, Nick Saban, they don't like shootouts. They don't like high-scoring affairs. And I mean, right now you've got predictions where, like Bradley said, both teams going to score in the 40s. I mean, Alabama may even crest the 50s. Those are not the kind of games that Nick Saban's used to playing. So it's definitely out of his wheelhouse. It's more in tune with Oklahoma and their style of play.
And you look at the teams that Alabama's faced in the playoff in years past. Now, granted, Clemson had a pretty prolific offense the year we played them in the championship game, but Michigan State was really just known strictly for defense. You have in the past, they played Ohio State. Pretty good offense, but had a really good defense as well. This is the highest, scoring offense that Alabama's faced in years. This is why for so long, people wanted to see Oregon and Mariota play Alabama. Yep. We just never got to see it happen on the field. So, I think this is going to be uncharted territory for Saban, and it's going to take the full month of preparation for them to get ready for this game.
Exactly. There's going to be a lot of definitely some number crunching and film for those defensive backs at Oklahoma. At Bama to watch, just because all season long, I guess the two kind of pass focused offenses that they competed against this season. You had LSU and Mississippi State, and they obviously shut those down. But then if you look at them finally playing a team that has a decent quarterback in Jake Fromm, and he tore them apart. And all the keys were there, but obviously this is that same situation, but it's expanded on vastly with Kyler Murray, and so we'll see. I mean, I'm completely with you guys. It's going to be a super high scoring game. It's going to be a shootout.
Oklahoma in this game? Sounds like you're leaning towards the Sooners.
I'd like to think so. It's all going to be dependent on whether or not that defensive line can stop the run.
Yeah.
Those Alabama backs. I mean, it's not a case of Derrick Henry, but I mean these are big boys, and to my knowledge, I mean I'm not really keen or in on my Big 12 trivia, but as far as I'm concerned, there's no backs like that in that Oklahoma's faced at this point. So, I mean, if I had to say whether or not Vegas got the spread right, I think they're wrong. I think it's a 4 to 7 point victory to Bama.
I think it's going to be a close game.
That's a definitely good prediction there. I think there's right now two differences that you can look at in this game. Oklahoma, like you said, has not faced a running back at all, like what we're going to see from Alabama. Yep. And Alabama's not faced a team where they're kind of outmanned wide receiver-wise, or maybe outdueled wide receiver-wise. Yep. You've got Marquise Brown that might be hurt for Oklahoma, but across the board, Oklahoma's got just enough wide receivers to match up with what Alabama has. So going to be two really key important things to look at in that game,
Well, Paul, we really appreciate you taking time to call in and talk with us about the playoff.
Yeah, totally. Hopefully I'll get and talk to you guys next week. All right.
Okay.
Absolutely,
perfect.
Man.
Thanks, Paul. Appreciate it. I don't know, Evan. You think there's any merit to? I think Oklahoma. There's a greater chance that Oklahoma runs away with this game than Alabama runs away with this game.
No.
I can't agree with that.
To put it simply in as few words as possible, I'm going to say no because Alabama's got the better defense. So if this is going to come down to somebody needing to make a stop, I trust Alabama more to do that. And Alabama's offense is more well-equipped to keep up with a Big 12-style offense. In the past, Nick Saban hasn't had a quarterback, so he's hated on offenses that have had quarterbacks and can put up, 1 million yards and 1 million points, like, pick your favorite Big 12 offense and insert it here. Now he's got a competent quarterback in Tagovailoa who can throw the ball, spread the field, go deep, and put up a bunch of points.
Dinged up, because we've seen Tua in the SEC championship game. I mean, he took a couple awkward hits, was limping. Did they bring out the cart for him at one point? I think they did. Do you think Jalen Hurts? Okay, if Jalen Hurts goes in, are you saying the same things? You think they still have the firepower to keep up offensively, or is it only with Tua?
I don't trust Jalen Hurts as much, but I think it's going to take a lot to get Tua out of that game because, well, for starters, you're giving him a month to heal and kind of, lick his wounds from this past weekend. Yep. So we're assuming that by the time kickoff starts in Miami, that Tua is going to be fine. And he's only going to leave that game like the SEC championship when things get really, really bad and you don't have any other option. But I don't think as far as, Saban maybe resting him in hopes that, he could play in the national championship or, playing a dual quarterback system. That's not really Saban's style. He's going to leave his guy in there as long as his guy can perform. So unless, Tua has to leave for, concussion or, heaven forbid he tears an ACL or something like that, I think he's going to go because that's Alabama's best chance when he's under center. But I don't trust Hurts to put up points like Tua can, and certainly not as easily.
You know who can else spread the ball around the field and put up points?
Oklahoma.
Will Grier. And Oklahoma faced him earlier this year and won the game. And back to Paul's point, who's the best offense Alabama's faced all year outside of Georgia?
Best offense?
Best offense they faced all this year.
Probably A&M, right?
Yeah.
Kellen Mond.
A&M. They're probably not ranked that high offensively. So this is a
they just don't have the weapons. They don't have the weapons that
Alabama's
has.
never faced before.
You could say the same for Oklahoma because they hadn't played anybody that has a decent defense all year.
And guess how this game ended last year when this exact conversation came up?
The SEC team won.
It was overtime. It was closer than 14.5 points.
The SEC team won.
Well,
the better team.
You know what is amazing to me? I got to butt in here. You know what's amazing to me? We have not talked about the Clemson game at all. I guess that's going to come after.
We got two more segments.
I guess that's going to come after the break because all that we've talked about so far has been the Alabama matchup. But I don't know. In a lot of ways,
I just think this is the most compelling matchup.
I was going to say this is the most intriguing matchup. I think that these two teams, Alabama and Oklahoma, are very different in the way that. You could look at coaching with the way that Saban approaches it versus Lincoln Riley. You look at quarterback play. Now, Tua obviously is different than past Alabama quarterbacks, but by and large, these are two very different programs.
I think I could argue with you that, and this might just be coming from a Clemson fan's perspective, but I might try to make the argument here in one of our next two segments that the Clemson-Notre Dame matchup is going to be more intriguing.
Really?
Wow.
It's going to be a better game to watch. Yep.
I think this is going to play out a lot like it did last year with the playoff because you look at both matchups right now, they're very similar than they were structured last year. You had the high-powered offense versus the great defense in Georgia and Oklahoma last year, and then you had Alabama and Clemson, which were pretty balanced offensively and defensively. You kind of got the same thing this year, and we saw how both those games ended up playing out. So I think both are going to play out exactly like they did last year. So we'll see. You might be right, though. I'd love to see both games be extremely intriguing for sure.
Do you think, because we got a couple minutes here before we go to break, do you think there's an underrated bowl game? A bowl game that's flying under the radar.
Let's look at all the bowl games over the commercial break. I'll read them out to you on there if you want me to, and then we'll make an educated decision on this one for once.
I can't. I don't want to. I don't want to speak right on the fly right now. I
gotta think about it. Well, I don't know. It's good discussion definitely about Alabama, Oklahoma.
Will be continued.
Yeah,
sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then we will touch on some bowl games, obviously break down the Clemson-Notre Dame game on the next side of the break. That's next. Stick with us.
Gold's Gym is sharing the gift of fitness this holiday season. Join Gold's Gym today and get $25 off joining fees now through December 25th. With both traditional and digital personal training options and new group exercise programs, Gold's Gym has everything you need to get healthier for the new year. Start your journey toward a healthier, stronger you today with $25 off joining fees. Valid with select new memberships at participating locations only. Visit goldsgym.com/25 off to learn more. Offer ends December 25th.
Are you ready to go all in on a car? Granger Nissan knows what car will fit you and your family because they are a leader in the market with competitive inventory. They have everything for everyone. Granger Nissan is a family business, so they know the importance of taking care of the ones we love on the road. You can drive with confidence and ease because Granger Nissan has all new vehicles with a lifetime powertrain warranty. Granger Nissan is not just in the car business, they're in the people business. Stop by Granger Nissan of Anderson on 3510 Clemson Boulevard. Has your extra bedroom turned into a junk room? Is your garage packed and cluttered? Specializing in junk removal and cleanouts, Absolute Waste Management is there to help. They handle the tough stuff like lifting, loading, and dumping. All you have to do is make the call. They do the rest. Call or text 864-266-7131 for a free estimate today. Make the call, schedule an appointment, and say bye to the junk. It's that easy. 864-266-7131.
Hey guys, if she wanted an engagement truck, you'd be all over it. or a shotgun, or a Yeti cooler. But a diamond? Why in the world does it need to be a diamond? What does it do for anyone? Well, for her, it does quite a bit. It's a daily reminder of the fact that you see and respect the real her, that she's more to you than just another girl. It's a symbol of trust and caring, of a belief that the two of you are meant for each other. Diamonds are the chosen symbol because they last forever. It's the only thing you can give to her that she can wear every day, and it will still look as good in 50 years as it did the day you gave it to her. So if it's that time for you to show someone special how much she means to you, I'd like to invite you to Scores Jewelers in Anderson. At Scores, our goal is simply to offer guidance and expertise to help you find the right diamond and the right ring. What we won't offer is pressure. We believe strongly in taking care of people and making friends, because friends come back and we'd like to see you again. Our new building isn't quite ready yet, so you can still find us between Old Navy and Pier 1 in Anderson or online at scoresdiamondjewelers.com. I'm William Nichols, and I want to be your jeweler.
Checking in with Jana Candler, Realtor Extraordinaire with Berkshire Hathaway Sedan Joiner. Jana, what do you think you've learned since becoming a realtor?
I've learned that being a good realtor is answering your phone, getting back to people in a very timely manner, and basically just handling the transaction so that they have nothing to worry about. This job really isn't about selling. It's more about managing people and their expectations and basically just taking care of them.
Jana, what has made you successful over the past year?
One of the things that sets me apart is my ability to take care of people. This job really isn't about selling. It's more about managing people and helping them get to the closing line. If you're looking to buy or sell real estate in the upstate, call me, Jana Candler, with Berkshire Hathaway Sedan Joiner at 864-313-6990. And as always, go Tigers.
You know cars and trucks cost less than Travelers Rest at George Coleman Ford. Did you also know George Coleman Ford is always looking to buy quality pre-owned vehicles from you? Even if you don't buy from them, they can make the process smooth and easy in buying your pre-owned car, truck, or SUV. It's the way George Coleman Ford has been doing business in Travelers Rest for over 86 years and 4 generations. Whether buying from them or selling to them, trust in George Coleman Ford.
And now, back to After Further Review.
Welcome back, AFR on your radio this fine Monday evening. It is now the month of December. That means it's bowl season. We broke down one of the college football playoff semifinal games in the first segment of the show. That's the Orange Bowl down in Miami. The Crimson Tide taking on the
Should
Oklahoma
be the Cotton Bowl.
Sooners. I know there is a few Clemson fans, in fact, that are a little salty about the fact that the Tigers will be traveling out to Dallas.
I would be one of those.
Evan, you're actually
Evan
working.
Probably should be the most salty
Evan is
of any of
working
us.
the Orange Bowl. Now, Evan, explain what exactly did you do last year, and now what will you be doing this year?
So the position itself falls under the Orange Bowl committee. It's called a junior host. So essentially, I just play hospitality for the whole week. So I'll be at one of the team hotels and kind of working in the hospitality room and hanging out with basically the team employees and some of the families of team employees, because that's who will mostly be in the hospitality room. So, like, for example, last year I was at the Wisconsin team hotel. So every night there'd be a meal and, a bar. And so the Wisconsin team employees and family members would come and just kind of socialize and spend the night hanging out there. So hopefully, fingers crossed, Orange Bowl committee, if you're listening, I won't be assigned to the Alabama team hotel, because that'll get me in more trouble than I deserve to be in.
If
so I'm keeping fingers crossed that I'm at the Sooners suite.
Not really.
If you are, please get me Nick Saban's daughter's number.
I will.
We'll take him off air with that.
I was going to say, let's see, I got a mute button around here somewhere. There it is.
Brent Musburger.
Found it.
Now, we do want to transition back to the conversation we were having before we cut to break, because I challenged both of you to give me a bowl game that kind of is flying under the radar. Nobody's really talked about yet, because obviously everybody wants to talk about the playoff. I guess I'll go first. Mine is the Camping World Bowl out of Orlando. West Virginia, Syracuse. With the location of this game, you figure the weather will be perfect. You got a Big East rivalry that's being renewed. 2 great coaches, Dana Holgorsen and Dino Babers. Dana and Dino. I can't say it. But no, I mean, Will Grier, Eric Dungy, this is a very intriguing quarterback.
You will have a lot of NFL scouts watching that game thoroughly.
Yeah.
They will be looking very closely at that game. I want to call out the committee real quick.
This might be the highest scoring bowl game of the bowl season.
If Dungy's healthy. It will be. Outside of the Oklahoma-Alabama game, probably.
I don't know.
I want to call out the committee, though, real quick, for not putting Washington State in a New Year's Six Bowl. I think that is ludicrous. The fact that a 2-loss Power 5 school gets left behind a 4-loss Texas team and what, 3-loss SEC teams?
You got 2 3-loss SEC teams. You got Florida, and you've
God, give me a break. LSU.
Yes.
Yeah.
Against UCF in the
That is unbelievable. I mean, Washington
it's not
State.
unbelievable, but it's
I understand.
disappointing. No, it's disappointing.
It's very disappointing. Washington State was one good weather day away from beating Washington because I think we all can agree on a good day and without a foot of snow, Washington State probably wins that game against Washington more often than not.
Yes.
That would put them in the Pac-12 championship game and they'd be in a New Year's Six Bowl. If that's your reason for keeping them out, come on. I don't want to see Texas with 4 losses play in the
They do play
freaking
Iowa
Sugar Bowl.
State in the Alamo Bowl.
And that's my
We
game.
talked about it over break, and that was actually a pretty intriguing matchup.
Yeah, the Alamo Bowl in the past, we've seen great matchups. I believe it was TCU and Oregon that had that just unbelievable comeback from like 38 down, I believe it was, for TCU. So the Alamo Bowl's been phenomenal the last few years, and I think these two teams here are two of the most underrated teams in America.
Here's what I want to ask you before we transition to Evan's bowl game. Do you think that with the disappointment in the Apple Cup against Washington and everything that happened at Washington State at the end of the season, is it going to linger? Are they not going to show up for this game and Iowa State's just going to roll over them?
No, I think they got a chip on their shoulder now with what the committee did them. I mean, you go from playing potentially in a Sugar Bowl to being stuck in the Alamo Bowl.
It's tough to keep a team motivated, though. You don't think there's any...
I don't understand how you cannot be motivated because
but look at Oklahoma when Clemson played them in, I guess, what was it, the Orange Bowl in Ohio State?
Look at the BCS era. Any team that gets invited to the Sugar Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, any of those bowl games, they're happy with that.
Yeah, this is the Alamo Bowl. This isn't the Sugar Bowl.
But that's the argument people start using against UCF, though, is that LSU's not going to show up or Auburn's not going to show up.
That's to UCF's benefit.
I know, but like how can you use that as a valid excuse, though? You're going to tell me a team on national TV on New Year's Day is not going to show up for the Rose Bowl or the Sugar Bowl? That's a poor excuse. Come on. If UCF wins that game against LSU, they beat them because they're a better team than LSU, not because LSU didn't show up.
Right, but we're talking about Washington State.
I know, I'm just saying. But the fact that people use that excuse is ridiculous.
All right.
I think Washington State shows up. I think Minshew's got something to prove for being left off the Heisman ballot. And I think both these teams feel a little disrespected from how they did this year.
We'll see. Evan, what's your bowl game?
Can I first go on the record and say that I am not excited about any of the non-playoff bowl games?
Come on.
I mean,
aren't you the guy that watches every bowl game?
Yes, and I will. And I love bowl season. I love bowl games. I love the idea of them. But you know how sometimes they announce the bowl games, the matchups, and you go, "Ooh, that's going to be a good game." I don't really see that with any of these. Like, not even the New Year's Six games. Like, how am I supposed to get excited about Florida and Michigan? That's just the Outback Bowl on steroids. I'm not at all excited about the Peach Bowl.
We've seen that game plenty of times.
LSU, UCF, that final score is going to be like 17-10.
But that's an intriguing game because that could be UCF's second SEC win in 2 years.
Yes.
Against a depleted Tigers team.
Still
That's a great chance for them to win.
Listen. When Clemson won back-to-back games against SEC opponents, it was against LSU in the Chick-fil-A Bowl, I think, in 2012 to close the season. Then they opened the season against Auburn and beat them. That was a big deal.
I will admit, the Rose
deal.
Bowl, I'll give you that. I'm not really excited to see Ohio State Washington. Washington is not what we thought they were going to be this year.
I think of the New Year's Six Bowls, I think that one's got the potential to be the best because those are the two strongest teams in my opinion.
I'm pretty confident in a lot of my predictions there for these games. I think UCF's going to rout LSU. I think Georgia's going to destroy Texas.
What about, here's a game that's flying under the radar in my opinion. What about NC State, Texas A&M?
See, that was the game that was actually, like, I mean, the
that's an
Tax Slayer Bowl, I mean, I guess both of those quarterbacks might be fun, but it's hard to get. I mean, it's just hard to get excited. Like,
I mean, Texas A&M had 2 top 15 wins this season, LSU and Kentucky, and I mean, I don't know, NC State, they've been a good program now for a handful of years.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at the two teams in this bowl game, and you look at all the bowl games, you go, okay, like, that's good. It's not great. Like, I think the playoff, I think the committee got 100% right, and I think this is probably the first time in the last maybe 2 or 3 years that we could say, okay, that's a strong playoff. Those are probably the 4 most deserving teams. But the rest of the bowl games are just kind of slacking, in my opinion. Whereas last year, I think, or even 2 years ago, you remember that Rose Bowl with Penn State and Trace McSorley and, USC and Sam Darnold, and that was a shootout. That was a fun game. It was the best game of the year outside of the national championship.
I will go on record and say I would rather watch paint dry for 24 straight hours than watch Baylor and Vanderbilt play in the Texas Bowl. That, you cannot pay me enough money to watch that game. No chance. December 27th, I'll be doing other things. I will say, though, some of these bowl games...
Well, I watch the Belk Bowl every year just for the Twitter
Why?
account. I don't know if you're on
the
Twitter,
Twitter account's
but the
fun.
Belk Bowl Twitter account wins hands down every year.
Virginia, South Carolina.
That's Virginia, South Carolina, yep.
Isn't that kind of sad when the best thing about your bowl game is your Twitter account?
I mean, but be honest, though, like, do you really know... I mean...
I know it's
the Belk Bowl's in Charlotte, and I know that because of their Twitter feed. But like, can you tell me where the?
Let's play this quiz. Hold on. Let's see.
Here we
Hold
go.
on. Let me close my tab here. You give me a bowl game. I'll try to tell you where
ready?
it is.
Here's the first one.
All right.
Walk-Ons Independence Bowl.
The
that's
Independence Bowl. That's either it's DC
Maryland.
or it's DC.
Yeah.
It's the Redskins Stadium.
All right, here you go.
No.
Is it-
I didn't tell you if you were right or wrong. Okay,
you just
wrong.
pointed at me, though.
You're wrong.
It's not
in,
FedEx Field?
No,
Or is
it's in Louisiana, guys.
What?
You're way off.
Independence Bowl?
The Independence Bowl is in
I think we're
Louisiana.
thinking of the Liberty Bowl.
I was thinking, what does Louisiana have to do with independence? What are they?
Do you
Louisiana Purchase?
I guess.
I don't know.
Do you want me to quiz you on another one, or would you rather not?
I want to.
involved?
I want to give you one.
We got to redeem ourselves
because
now.
this is one of the most, I think, underrated matchups probably of the bowl season right here. Definitely the bowl that got this game. Definitely expected a lot lesser quality teams to make this one. The Red Box Bowl. The debut of the Red Box Bowl.
The Red Box Bowl.
It's a great name.
Like Red Box,
Like the company.
like the DVD vending machine Red Box.
Great name.
The Red Box Bowl.
Red Box. It's got some little flair to it.
If you say so.
Maybe just because I think this logo looks pretty dope.
I mean, it probably looks like a DVD, doesn't it?
No idea.
Not really.
The Red Box Bowl, random guess, is probably in Las Vegas.
Now you're on the right track. Levi Stadium, actually.
Oh,
See,
wow.
I knew it was out
California.
west.
Well,
Michigan
that's where
State,
the national
Oregon.
championship will be played.
It will. Michigan State, Oregon. That's
Yeah.
preseason. Sounded like a great game.
Do y'all know where the
Not as much now.
Do y'all know where
but-
the Dollar General Bowl is? Buffalo
it
against
used to.
Troy.
That one's played down south somewhere too, isn't it?
You're getting warm. Much warmer than last
Dollar
guess.
General Bowl.
Dollar General.
What state?
Mississippi,
Oh, that's close. What's the other one? If it's not Mississippi, it's
It's in Alabama.
Alabama.
yes, sir.
Where?
Birmingham?
In Mobile, Alabama.
I had a 50-50
Yeah,
shot.
I don't think so.
Never mind. This
But
game's
no,
stupid.
seriously, because we've kind of been going off on a tangent here for a couple minutes. Besides the games that we've already listed, Evan, I think you've kind of made your point where you feel like this is going to be a subpar bowl season outside of the New Year's Six and the college football playoff games. Bradley, are you in that same boat, or do you think that there's enough intrigue here?
I've watched enough bowl season in the past to realize every time I think it's a boring season, like we saw a couple years ago, it's going to be awesome. They're going to be like 7 overtime games, the first like 8 games of bowl season. I'm calling that right now.
Not to be confused with 1 7 overtime game.
Yeah, there you go.
Like A&M and
the
LSU.
fact that and real quick, the fact that Joel Anderson guy on ESPN picked a 73-70 Oklahoma Texas game this past weekend, I thought was hilarious. I think this is going to be a good bowl season. I'm scrolling through right now. Miami, Wisconsin, that's intriguing. Boston College, Boise State.
How is that intriguing? You made the Orange Bowl last year. You're playing again this year. You're both way worse than you were this
This is the
time
best
last year.
pinstripe bowl you'll ever see.
Revenge game.
Syracuse Northwestern played a really good pinstripe bowl a
That's
couple
true.
years
Yeah.
back. So
Duke, Indiana was pretty good.
Miami's not going to be used
to
to that weather up there in
Wisconsin sure will,
It's played
though.
at Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium.
Yankee
Yep.
Stadium. You got the Cheez-It Bowl, Cal and TCU.
I'll have my hand in that. Watch the playoff games.
They play out in
Come on,
Phoenix.
nobody got that.
I know. What you're
I'm
trying
giving
to
myself
say.
a round of applause for that one. Thank you.
I don't think that's quite how it works.
Cheez-It Bowl, that was funny. Leave
All
me
right.
alone.
Well, we got I think we've beaten the random bowl talk to death here. So we got a couple minutes left in this second segment. What do y'all think? Heisman finalists were announced earlier today. No real big surprises, Bradley. You've got Tagovailoa, you've got Kyler Murray, and you've got, it doesn't matter because Tagovailoa is going to win.
Dwayne Haskins would be that guy's name.
But it doesn't matter because we all know it doesn't
I
matter.
think Kyler's closed the gap significantly the last couple weeks. I kind of want to say I'm going to predict him to win this one. I really do. I think right now, if you gave me one game, well, they're playing each other. So if you give me that game and you ask me what quarterback's going to perform better, I'm going Kyler Murray. I know Tua's banged up, but I think Kyler's the most dynamic quarterback in college football right now.
I think it reminds me of the Heisman race back when Lamar won, where he started off the season so red hot and so strong that almost nothing. And I don't remember exact numbers, but I know he had a lot of turnovers. They kind of dropped the ball later in that season.
His completion percentage was like abysmal.
Yeah, and they just, in my opinion, tanked the last 3 or 4 weeks of the year, but he ended up winning the award, which I didn't agree with. And I think Tagovailoa is in not a similar situation, but he hasn't performed the last couple of weeks like he did at the beginning of the season, I still think he's a shoo-in for this award. Kyler Murray had a great year, but I think, as unfortunate as it is to say, Tagovailoa won this award in September.
Yeah, probably so.
It's turning into a September award.
He'll probably win the popularity vote here, I think, just because he's been the favorite for the majority of the season. But I will say Kyler's going to be one of the best runners-up we've ever seen in this Heisman race because he's a pretty doggone good quarterback.
Well, we have a couple minutes left in this second segment, and we got a good buddy of ours, Tony Catterson, is on the phone lines with us. Tony, what you got for us this evening?
Hey, man, how are y'all?
Good, man. Good to finally hear from you.
I know.
We appreciate it.
Bugging you for a couple weeks to call.
Yeah, we finally don't have to argue over text.
I figured I'd call up, man. But how's Notre Dame's defense looking compared to Clemson? I don't know if I feel as confident as I did going into the Pitt game,
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I think they're a lot like Michigan's defense. We saw, throughout the entire season, people have been praising Notre Dame's defense. They've been praising the level they've been playing at, the level Michigan's been playing at. And then when we finally saw Michigan face a real offense like in Ohio State, they were exposed. I think Notre Dame's in a similar stance.
Don't ignore the fact that the Fighting Irish, they give up less than 200 yards passing a game. Now, with that being said, we all know that Clemson can run the football, and they have the depth and talent at the running back position to run the football. So if, let's say that Trevor Lawrence isn't as successful through the air as he normally is, and the Tigers have to rely on the ground, I don't see that really being an issue. But, it's still, I guess, another wrinkle, and it could make Clemson one-dimensional in that game. So I think, Tigers have to plan like Notre Dame is going to limit their passing attack. I think there's a real chance that could happen.
So you think we're going to have to run it more than anything in that game? We're going to be using ETN more than anybody.
Look, I think right now, if you're Clemson, I think you've got to realize that Notre Dame's defense can keep them in the ball game for all 4 quarters.
They're strong.
Their offense.
They've been looking decent.
Oh yeah, their offense is probably going to struggle at times to move the ball, especially on the ground against Clemson's front 4. But if you go back to their defense, if they're able to, stall out Clemson's offensive drives and they really reduce Trevor Lawrence's ability to throw through the air, this could be a lower scoring affair than what Clemson is used to. A team that, right now, they're averaging something like, gosh, what are they averaging?
Clemson?
30, 40 points a game?
Oh, easily over 40. I will say that.
Try 45.
45, there you go.
I think you got to take Notre Dame's defense with a grain of salt, though, because if you look at the teams they've played this year and, why they're so highly rated in terms of defensive efficiency and all that, they played Michigan week 1. They played Stanford without Bryce Love. They played Virginia Tech without their starting quarterback. Syracuse without Eric Dungy. So there's a lot of different games in there that they played a lot of really good offenses that played well throughout the entire season, but in that particular week, they were not at 100%. Clemson's going to be at 100%, and I think with how balanced they are, like you said, Jay, running and passing the football, that's going to be a lot for Notre Dame to contain. I think Clemson's going to definitely eclipse the 35-point mark. Can Notre Dame reach that 35-point mark? I don't think they can.
I don't think they can with our defense.
Yeah,
I don't think they can.
I think you're 100% right. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know if that really answered what you were going after, Tony, but I think the biggest takeaway when I look at this matchup is that really, if Notre Dame's defense can't make Clemson one-dimensional, they're going to struggle to stay in the game because I think everyone realizes that Notre Dame's offense is going to have problems against Clemson's defense.
I think they're going to have a lot of problems. I think they're going to get shut down, not so much as shut down all the way, but I think they're going to get shut down a lot more than people have been saying or thinking. Clemson's defense is pretty strong. They, that lead line, and then those boys going out there and playing like they do. Look at the Pitt game. Pitt's not very good of a team, in my opinion, but still.
Yeah, and Pitt almost beat Notre Dame.
Yeah,
so if you want to use a comparison there,
they did.
Notre Dame nearly lost that game. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know.
Exactly.
Intriguing matchup for sure. But, Tony, we appreciate you taking time. Call in. Talk to us.
Hey, thank y'all. It was fun talking to you.
Yeah,
I'll
man.
love you then.
We'll see you on Game Pigeon, Tony.
Oh, man, I tell you what. Well, we got to fit in one last break. Probably got some more playoff talk, Heisman talk, bowl talk. All that's next. Stick around.
Granger Nissan knows with football season comes tailgating, so make sure you have a reliable way to the big game. As a leader in the market with competitive inventory, you know that you'll be ready to tailgate this season. Granger Nissan is a family business, so they know the importance of taking care of the loved ones while on the road. You can drive your next tailgate vehicle with confidence and ease knowing all new vehicles have a lifetime powertrain warranty. So stop by Granger Nissan of Anderson at 3510 Clemson Boulevard.
Brock here with Tom's Barbecue to let you know about our catering services. Tom's Barbecue caters to many corporate events and wants to help your business boost morale with a great meal to guarantee that your employees leave work happier and fuller. Choose from any of our catering packages or pick a la carte from our menu. You will even receive 25% off of your first order when you mention WCCP. So what are you waiting for? Call 864-288-2652. Tom's Barbecue at the corner of Woodruff and Garlington in Greenville.
You know cars and trucks cost less than Travelers Rest at George Coleman Ford. Did you also know George Coleman Ford is always looking to buy quality pre-owned vehicles from you? Even if you don't buy from them, they can make the process smooth and easy in buying your pre-owned car, truck, or SUV. It's the way George Coleman Ford has been doing business in Travelers Rest for over 86 years and 4 generations. Whether buying from them or selling to them, trust in George Coleman Ford.
Men, are you tired of those daily blue enhancement pills that take days, weeks, or months to work, if they ever work at all? Listen up. Now you can take Red, the new natural male empowerment pill that works on demand. Even your partner will notice the difference the very first time you use it. To prove Red won't disappoint like the others, you're invited to participate in our nationwide I Take Red Partner Reaction Guarantee Trial. We're seeking participants for this nationwide trial, not only to prove it works, the very first time you try it. We guarantee your partner will also notice the difference. Forget those slow-acting blue pills and join those who proudly take Red. Over 50,000 pills have already been claimed and supplies are limited. So to ensure your participation in this free nationwide trial, you must call now.
Superior virility on demand. You only need to take Red once to see what all the fuss is about. Call immediately to participate in our free nationwide trial. Call 800-506-2734. 800-506-2734. Be one of thousands to proudly say, I take Red. 800-506-2734.
Electronics make a great Christmas gift. The ideal electronic gift is a Husqvarna robotic auto mower. The elves at Easley Lawn and Garden invite you to shop their selection of Husqvarna auto mowers in 6 different models for every type of lawn. A Husqvarna auto mower from Easley Lawn and Garden makes a great gift, and it leaves you with a beautiful looking lawn while allowing you to spend time opening up the rest of your gifts. Once you purchase your Husqvarna auto mower Christmas gift from Easley Lawn and Garden, their team of elves can assist you in getting started. Husqvarna robotic mowers are the #1 selling auto mower worldwide, used in Europe for years, now taking the U.S. by storm. Fill your Christmas list with a Husqvarna auto mower from Easley Lawn and Garden, your local Husqvarna dealer for nearly 40 years. Veteran and family owned and operated, 312 South Pendleton Street, Easley. Online at easleylawns.com.
Buying a mattress can be a difficult process, but that can all change with one visit to Engineered Sleep. They are a mattress manufacturer that opened their doors to the public. You get factory direct pricing, a mattress made just for you, and free delivery all over the upstate. Your mattress will be made and delivered within 1 to 5 days. It is always great to buy local, but when you buy from Engineered Sleep, you are truly buying from the best. Their showroom at 627 Congaree Road in Greenville is open Monday through Saturday. Sleep like a champion with your Engineered Sleep.
And now, back to Jay, Bradley, and Evan.
Welcome back. One final segment for you this evening on this edition of AFR. AFR number 74, for those of you keeping count. Bradley?
It's Mike Remmers' number. I don't like it.
Oh, the revolving door. That was Mike Remmers. My goodness.
I do have some nuggets real quick on the Heisman.
Yeah,
We've already kind of revealed these before the show. But I think it's very interesting that, and we talked about the 3 finalists, and you don't even think one of them needs to be included. But all 3 finalists this year didn't start last year. That's got to be the first time that's ever happened.
Wow.
All newcomers to the starting role, which is crazy. And, with how well they performed, that's amazing.
And one of them has a national championship.
There you go.
The more you know.
And one of them,
That's an Evan McDowell fact right there. I just dug that bad boy up, polished off for you right here, right now. You are welcome.
Took a lot of time researching that one, right?
When we went to break, we did get a text in from Will from the 803, and Good point. He said, do we all agree the fact that Notre Dame was a favorable draw for Clemson? I'd rather play them in the first round over OU or Bama.
Absolutely. I think Notre Dame's way more predictable than we would have had from Alabama or Oklahoma.
I'm curious to hear what you want to have to say because go ahead.
I'm of the opinion that this game is going to be fairly close, and I think, like I said, outside of the weather, I think it's going to look pretty similar to our game in Death Valley against them 3 years ago. That being said, of the 4 teams or the other 3 teams, I guess, that made the playoff, I'd rather play Notre Dame first because I think of those 3, they are the easiest to expose.
Now, here's a good question. Who would Notre Dame rather have faced?
Well, so are you saying that you'd rather play Notre Dame? Just to
yes, because I don't want to play Alabama first round because it's Bama, and I don't want to play Oklahoma first round because that's a lot of points. And
interesting,
our offense can put up a lot of points. It's just a matter of can they do it that day.
So you think Notre Dame would have rather played us?
I would think so because you figure Notre Dame's offense isn't able to keep up with Oklahoma's, and I think Alabama's offense and Alabama's defense are both stronger enough than Notre Dame's offensive defense. They'd have won that game too. So I think from Notre Dame's perspective, this is probably the most even matchup as well, wouldn't you think?
Yeah. I gotta completely disagree. If there was a team that I did not want to face in the semifinal, it was Notre Dame. I would rather face Alabama.
Yeah, why?
I'd rather face Oklahoma. I just don't think.
But you know what you're going to get with Notre Dame. You're going to get a game in the 30s.
Yeah,
you're going to get a team that's extremely balanced.
Listen, I don't think that matches up well for Clemson. I think if you're playing a team like Oklahoma, who has such an abysmal defense, and so Oklahoma relies on their offense to win games because they're in the Big 12.
Yeah, but with our secondary though, you really want to face Kyler Murray and that wide receiver?
Yes, but it's all it's going to take is a couple of possessions where Clemson's defense gets to Kyler Murray, gets the pressure. If Clemson's offense is able to put together, 4 or 5 touchdown drives in the first half, I think we win that game pretty easily. And with Bama, honestly, with what I've seen the last 3 or 4 weeks from Tagovailoa and him being not really 100%, I know for a fact that Clemson's front 4 is going to be able to get after that guy, and he's going to be gimpy after the first quarter.
That doesn't factor into a playoff game because in a month he's going to be healthy. So you can say for the past 3 weeks.
Not necessarily.
Yes, he will be.
Yeah, he won't be.
He'll be fine.
Significantly healthier.
One hit, and he'll go back out on that ankle, and he'll be limping. That's all it takes is
he's going to play the whole game.
Hit.
Well, Oklahoma's defense can't hit him anyway. Oklahoma's defense couldn't hit a pile of mashed potatoes sitting in the middle of the field.
I'd rather not be playing Notre Dame, to be completely honest. I would have rather played. Honestly, I'd pick Alabama first. I'd rather play Alabama.
Alabama's unquestionably the best team in college football. I don't want to play them till the national championship.
Tagovailoa,
who they will have.
Put the asterisk there because you don't know based off of the last 3 or 4 weeks. His health has not been 100%.
And even if Tua goes out, guess who beat us?
I was about to say, let's put in the national championship and SEC championship winning quarterback. Then why don't we?
But we've been ragging on Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, but you also give Alabama a whole month to prepare. I'd rather face Bama in the championship.
I would too.
Than the playoffs.
Because then they only have a couple days to prepare.
Exactly.
Or a week, I guess.
I honestly, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I
am
not looking forward to playing the Irish.
So, of the other 3 playoff teams, 2 of them have Heisman nominees, Heisman finalists as quarterbacks. The other team has Ian Book. And you're telling me you'd rather face either of those 2 Heisman finalists who are equally capable of putting up 50 points at the drop of a hat than you would Ian Book and the Notre Dame offense?
Take those 3 teams right there and look at their last game. Bama beat Georgia, number 4 team in the country. Oklahoma, really good showing against Texas, top 15 team.
Redemption win, by the way.
Notre Dame had a 7-point game against 5-7 USC.
Okay, are you ready? Here we go. All right. So Alabama, yes, they have a Heisman finalist in their quarterback. However, that was basically locked up when he was 100% in September. He is not the same quarterback that we saw earlier this season. I don't think there's really any arguing that. With that being said,
but who did they play earlier this season?
With that being said, yes, Jalen Hurts beat us last year. It's a fact. It's a fact. If Clemson plays as poorly as they did last year, this year against Alabama, they're going to lose. But I've seen enough from Clemson against Pitt and against other teams late in the season where I feel like, okay, we're going to blow through these teams by 20 or 30 points. We're not going to play down to our opponents, whatever. If you look at Oklahoma, they're so one-dimensional.
They are, but they do that one-dimensional so well.
They do.
And their one dimension that they're really good at is also our biggest weakness. Kyler Murray could throw for 500 yards and 4 touchdowns against them. The secondary.
That's not
if Jake Bentley can carve up the secondary, I would hate to see what Kyler Murray could do to us.
Listen, how Clemson played secondary-wise against South Carolina, in the words of Brent Venables, was embarrassing. That's a direct quote. I'm not discrediting anything about that. All I'm saying is that if Clemson's secondary is the biggest quote-unquote weakness that we have, and I think we all agree on that, even though in my opinion it's not really a weakness at all, then I think Clemson's favored in that matchup.
Look at Notre Dame, though. If you compare them to Clemson right now, offensively, they're pretty good offense. Defensively, they've been pretty good all year.
Yeah.
We do what Notre Dame does better. I mean, that's literally all it is.
That's why I'm scared of them, because they match up really well with us. They're the most
But we also match up really well with them.
They're the most similar team that we could possibly face in the playoff. They have the most time to prepare because it's 3-4 weeks, whatever. So, I'm nervous to play.
I think this Notre Dame team reminds me a lot of the Ohio State team that Clemson shut out a couple years ago. I do. I think JT Barrett is right on par with where Ian Book is this season. Ohio State's defense was pretty good. They won them a lot of those games that year they went to the playoff, and they came in with a pretty balanced team. And what did Clemson do? They shut them out 31-0.
Notre Dame's got a better quarterback. I mean, they've got better talent across the board.
JT Barrett's one of the best Big Ten quarterbacks we've ever seen. I mean, Ian Book's good, but is he that good? He's never been on this stage before. He's never had to face
neither is Trevor Lawrence.
He's never had to face a team like Clemson this season yet.
And Trevor Lawrence really hasn't faced a team like Notre Dame this season. So that's you use that argument both ways. All I'm saying is that, in my opinion, I would have rather faced Alabama or even Oklahoma in the semifinal rather than Notre Dame.
And all right, so let's take one thing, though. I know the secondary's been pretty suspect all year. Is there anything else that you think Notre Dame does extremely well that might be kind of exploited against Clemson, or that they might exploit against Clemson? Is there any specific,
so you're thinking
outside of the secondary?
Asking what Clemson's weaknesses are?
Is there any other
secondary?
Is there any other secondary or any other weakness besides the secondary that you think Clemson has right now?
Punting. And here's why. Spires averages, I believe, under 40 yards a punt. That's not good. Somebody check that number, but that is, even when I watched during the game, the punting is not great. So if it becomes a game of field possession where both defenses are stout and the offenses have trouble moving the ball, all of a sudden field position is not just huge, it's critical. It's critical. And Clemson's punting for a couple years now has been thorn in their side. So that's the only other, I guess, weakness I could point out. I mean, again, I don't think it's a liability. It hasn't cost Clemson a game or anything at this point, but I mean, the punting has not been great.
I guess. I don't know if that's a reason that Notre Dame might.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be contingent upon the fact that it's a close game. Field possession is important. I'm not saying that is. I'm just saying that's another weakness.
I just want to see predictability. I don't want to go into this game in the playoff after a month to prepare and not know what I'm going to get. I know what I'm going to get out of Notre Dame. I don't know what I'm going to get out of Kyler Murray. I know I'm probably going to see 40 to 50 points. Probably. Alabama could easily go out and destroy every team they play the next 2 games.
Sure.
Very capable of doing that. Can Notre Dame do that? No. Has Notre Dame faced a really great team the last 5 to 6 weeks? No. Did Notre Dame play a conference championship game? No.
Yeah, but who has Clemson faced the last 5 or 6 weeks that's been a really great team? Besides the Syracuse game, they
Better
really
teams than Notre Dame has.
They weren't challenged. Clemson was not challenged. We talked about this in August. No one, that's amazing. We've spent 10 minutes talking about this. No one was going to challenge Clemson this season, except in the playoff. We've been harping that all year, have we not?
Yeah, but out of all the teams I could have faced so far this year, I mean, Notre Dame was the one that we knocked early on in the season, and it's amazing that ESPN was correct with their 4th best chance to make the playoff right there preseason. Notre Dame got in.
Yeah.
If I had to pick a team right now I don't want to face, Oklahoma's definitely up there. Alabama's definitely up there.
So you're more scared of the offensive firepower, I guess? I think Notre Dame, truth be told, Evan, I think they're the most well-rounded team in the playoff. I think Notre Dame is.
You could argue Clemson is.
You could say you could argue that they're the most balanced. I wouldn't say the most well-rounded because I think there's a difference there. My thing is there's a larger margin of error with Notre Dame because I think the disparity in what Clemson does well and what Notre Dame does well, that gap is far greater than it would be against Alabama or Oklahoma. Because the fact of the matter is Oklahoma and Alabama both average about 50 points a game. Notre Dame averages 33. So let's say we stop Alabama and Oklahoma on one possession. We still have to score 40 points to even tie the game. You stop Notre Dame on one possession, you're looking at 24 points, which Clemson has surpassed that scoring total in almost every game this year. So I think if Clemson comes out and plays maybe its B game or heaven help its C game, we stand a better chance of beating Notre Dame with that game than we do Alabama or Oklahoma, because to beat Alabama or Oklahoma, we're going to have to play our A game, and that's just the bottom line, because if we don't, we get beat by a touchdown or two.
Yeah, and then you fast forward 10 more days to the championship game. I think we'd be in much better stance than we would be if we had to play Oklahoma and our defense gets worn out, or play a physical game against Alabama. I mean, the Notre Dame game is going to be physical, but I think if we were able to handle that, we should be fine.
Am I crazy for thinking that the team we have the best chance to beat in the playoff right now is Alabama?
No. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
No. You're crazy to think anybody has a good, quote-unquote, good chance to beat Alabama right now.
Listen, I got a minute left, so I'm going to make this fast. Georgia was up by 2 touchdowns. They had Alabama in the palm of their hand in the middle of the third quarter.
How'd that work out for them?
Listen, we could have spent 3 hours talking about
that's a lovely moral victory
that Georgia did wrong in the second half of that game. All I'm saying is that we just saw it on Saturday, guys, the recipe for what it takes to beat Alabama. Georgia was working, everything was working magnificently for them. Magnificently. And yes, it fell apart. But no, I am not scared about Alabama at all after watching their performance in the SEC championship game.
You're crazy. No. Bama's, you don't want to face them.
I would. I'd want to play them. I don't know. We're out of time, though. It's always so much fun bringing you another edition of After Further Review. And for Bradley, Evan, and myself,